Okay, today we're doing chapter 33 from beginning to end. It's a shorter chapter. We're within the section of happiness, okay, of how to achieve happiness and what are the benefits of happiness. And chapter 32, the previous chapter, was an added chapter. Like it wasn't there originally, but it was added before it was printed. And it talks about one of the benefits of happiness is that if you one of the benefits of being close to, of having Hashem as a forefront in our life is that we're going to be able to achieve the full extent of Ahavat Israel. Like that's the only way to get Ahavat Israel. Anyway, so back to our topic of happiness. Chapter 33 and 34 is going to continue talking about happiness, but what's special about 33 and 34 is that besides from talking about what happiness does and the benefits of happiness, it's also starting to talk about, it's also bridging us to the next section of the Tanya, which is talking about Mashiach times, about the ideal world, about the purpose of creation. Okay, so we're going to touch on it today. We're basically going to bridge from happiness to the whole purpose of the world, which is a very basic and important part of the Tanya and of our life and everything. So I want to just start with like picture a Hasidic Jew. I'm telling you to draw a picture or to picture a picture. What would you see first as an image? Like what would you be seeing him doing? What would you want to draw him doing?
A hat.
Okay, he's wearing a hat and payas and black and white. And okay, and pray. So you would put him praying, serious and praying.
Sometimes. I mean,
how about something closer to happiness? Dancing, the dancing chassid. So typically we like when you think of a chassid, there's a lot of happiness in there. Like not even just chassid Chabad, but like think of like a Breslev chassid or any type of chassidus. It's very, very connected to happiness, very connected to dancing. So when you look at dancing, is because when you look at a Jew that's dancing, first of all, it's because he's happy. It expresses a certain happiness, which we'll talk about. What is this happiness that he has? Where does it come from? Is it because he has everything he needs in his life? Is it because everybody in his life is healthy and he has all the money he needs? Or is it because of something else? And what we see also is when you see someone dancing, like when you have a picture of someone dancing, you'll typically see one foot grounded, one foot on the floor, and one foot above the floor, elevated. Okay, and we'll see that there's meaning to it. Like we're gonna see today why a chassid, like whatever, a Hasidic Jew or a Jew needs to have one foot grounded and one foot above. Can't be too grounded or too above. We need to be like somewhere in the middle or somewhere in both. And we're going to understand also what's the connection between Chassidut and happiness. One very interesting thing I wanted to show you is I'm sure you heard of the 12 verses. Okay, those are 12 verses of Torah that there's plenty pictures and plenty posters of it. This is just one I found now, just like by Googling it. The Rebbe handpicked 12 most important verses from the Torah, from the Mishnah, the Talmud, and from the Tanya. And those verses, the kids say every day. My kids say it literally every night, together with Shema Israel. And every time there's a kids rally, they say those 12 verses. Like kids should grow up ingrained with those 12 verses. Those are the 12 basic verses of the whole Torah, basically. Like you know that you want to educate a child with to have those concepts completely ingrained in them. And so the first one, for example, is Torah Tziva Lanu Moshe Morasha Kelat Yaakov. Okay, the Torah that Moshe taught us is our heritage. To love and learn to live, and we need to live with it. We also have Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. Okay, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim et haaretz, that Hashem created the heaven and earth in the beginning. Anyway, and Kikarov Elecha, which is also the whole. It's not done properly. Anyways, the whole Tanya is based on the pasuk Kikarov Elecha Davar Meod, which we spoke about. And what I want to show you is number 11. is taken from our chapter of Tanya, from chapter 33. Okay, which means that there's something very, very important about this verse. And verse number 12 is going to be in chapter 34 in our next chapter. So let me just read them, but we're going to see it in the Tanya today. V'zeh kol ha'adam. This is the whole person, the tachlit be'ato, and the whole purpose of his creation. Uvriyat kol ha'olamot, and the creation of all the worlds. Elyonim v'tachtonim, upper and lower. Liot lo dira, there should be. Hashem should have a dwelling place here, down here in Tachtonim, in this lower world. Okay, and so that's what we're going to be talking about today. I mean, that we're going to talk about happiness, but bringing us to this purpose of creation, the purpose of the whole world, the purpose of the person. And next week we'll talk more about joy, the ultimate joy. But what I wanted to show you is that basically it's a very foundational, I don't know why it's not coming up. Foundational basic that we have into this chapter is very important. And we're gonna it's gonna start with talking about the unity of Hashem, about us understanding how Hashem is the only one in the whole world. And the more we understand this, the more it's gonna make us have a positive outlook on the life, on the world, and that will bring us to the biggest happiness. And we're gonna understand why we're always happy and why we're never alone, and where Hashem is in our lives, etc. So let's get right into it. We need the beginning of this chapter is going to talk about what is Achdut Hashem, Hashem's unity, the fact that Hashem is one. Okay, so the Torah is like, it's one of the mitzvot of the Torah, like to believe that Hashem is one. We say Shema Israel, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, that Hashem is one. Okay. We also say Ein od milvado, that there's nobody else than Hashem. It's also one of the 13 principles of faith, that we need to believe that there's only one God. Okay, so what does it mean that there's one God, that we believe that there's one God and there's no other, and there's no two? Like, what's so amazing about it? Hello, welcome. No problem. Yeah. So we're just talking about the Hashem being one. Okay, and we're believing that Hashem is one. There's no one else. So what's the meaning of knowing that there's only one God and there's no two gods? There's no more than one God. Like, so on a basic level, it means that there's one God and there's no second God. Okay, that's the basic level. Like, the Torah comes and says that there's no other God. Like, you cannot believe in any other any other power in the world as much as God. And basically what we're saying is that when we say that there's only one God, it means there's no other God. That's the basic level. But Chassidut is telling us that there's something else. When we say that there's only one God, it's not just that there's no other God. It's also that there's nothing else but God in the whole world. There's no other existence in the world but God. Everything in the world is God. God is everything. Everything is God. There's nothing else. Ein od milvado. There's nothing else but God. Like, it's much more powerful than saying, okay, there's one God, there's no two gods. Like, no, it's like there's no other existence, there's no other power, there's no other nothing besides from God. Everything is included, everything is part of Hashem. Okay, now we spoke about this in length in previous chapters, and if you remember in chapter 20, 21, 22 about this. So I'm just going to mention a little bit of what we talked about, because now he's reminding us what we learned, because we're going to take it for ourselves to understand how this can bring us to happiness. So we spoke about saying that Hashem said that before he created the world and after he created the world, he didn't change. Hashem is the same before and after. How can it be? How can it be that Hashem is exactly the same before he created the world and after before he created the world, he was just him. After he created the world, there's the world and there's him. Like, what's going on over here? So it's because he's constantly in every part of the world. Hashem created the world, but he's continuing to create it. He's continuing to be part of everything. He's in it. The world is him. The whole world is still a part of Hashem. It's not like he duplicated himself or there's more to him. It's him, and it's just the world is just a tiny piece of him. And it's gonna go soon into even more details of how the world is like really nothing for Hashem. We already spoke about it at length, but we're now going back to it. So when we understand, according to Hasidut, that there's only one God, it's going to change also what it does to us is that it changes the way we look at the world. Okay, like it's going to change. When we look at everything in the world, we're going to understand that everything is godly. We're going to understand that everything is from God. When we understand that there's only God and nothing else, it helps us see everything with those glasses. Okay, so I just want to remind you, I feel like this class sometimes can be a little bit above us. Like we're like, I don't live that way. I have like so much things in my life. Like but when we learn Tanya, it's inspiring us to what we should be and where we should be. So it's helping us, like it's not all or nothing. So it's a work in progress that we're going up in that ladder and we're trying to see more and more and more with Hashem's glasses, like with the glasses from Hashem's view. Like that's what it's trying to do to us. And we're going to see that the more we have it, the more happiness we can reach, like, because that's the ultimate. Okay. And we're going to see soon how. So if we don't believe or we don't have this concept of Hashem's unity and there's nothing else but Hashem, then the world is going to look like two separate things or two opposite things. There's Hashem, and then there's all the materialistic things. Like if we don't understand that everything is part of Hashem, then it feels like two contradicting things. But really the Hasidut is coming to explain to us that this physical world is part of God's plan. It's part of God's creation. It's part of Hashem. Okay, it's an expression of Hashem. This physical world, all these physical things that we have and that we do and we see, all these are an expression of Hashem. They are part of Hashem. They're not separate from Hashem, or they're not the opposite of Hashem. They are Hashem directly. Everything that happens in the world is not just by chance. It's not just another thing. Every single thing that happens, whether it's good or bad, is an expression of God. And that's what I keep saying to myself, by the way, with the current news in Israel. The fact that Hashem allowed it to happen, I trust God that He knows what He did. Like, as hard as it is, as inhumane as it is, it's all part of God's plan. It's all part of Hashem. Everything is Hashem. It's very hard, but we are believers. Listen, we're on the same page. We're all like the same suffering. It's very hard, but we have to work on our faith. It was unlocked, I think. Well, you want to lock it? No problem.
Tomorrow they said they're gonna come.
Okay.
They talk about tomorrow.
No, so tomorrow they're gonna open.
Tomorrow? Yeah.
They're gonna Halloween. They're gonna.
Every house will make
So
sure
don't
be
open.
careful.
Don't open the door.
Oh, really?
I think I'm gonna go out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, people are scared, just saying. But today, hopefully, the class I hope it will help you shift. I don't know if in one class, but at least the point is that we are believers. We're meant to believe in Hashem. We're meant to realize that everything is part of Hashem's plan. Everything is Hashem. That's my point. Whether it's positive or negative, it's all part of Hashem. Okay, it's all parts. So I want to tell you, before Hasidut came, I'm laughing. Before Hasidut came, there was a lot of things felt like it was separate. If you want to be godly, then you got to be secluded in the synagogue and just study Torah all day and you're just godly. You can't be godly and do business and be in this world and enjoy all these physical things in this world. Like it was almost like the physical body is disturbing a person from connecting to Hashem. The physical things of the world are disturbing a person from connecting to Hashem. Like it was like it was like contradicting each other. But the Baal Shem Tov came. Baal Shem Tov is literally like the first Hasidut. He says, no, the body is not disturbing the neshama. The body is there to help the neshama reach its highest potential. The body is there to serve the neshama. The body is there. Hashem wants you to use your body. Hashem wants you to use the physical things to serve Him. That's what Hashem wants, and we're going to see today even more. Like that's the whole purpose. Okay. Anyway, so that's if you think of it, it's an optimistic way of looking at life, that everything is part of God's plan, that everything is meant to be a certain way. And to me, it's reassuring. They know that as hard as it is, as hard as certain things are, or as good as certain things are, whatever happens in this world, like even small things, that this person said this to somebody, or this person got in trouble, whatever it is, it's all part of a bigger plan. It's not in my hands. Like I'm not going to be able to fix it. Somebody's taking care of me. There's somebody higher than me that knows better. that's running this world. That's like, that's moving all the peons the way it should be. So we're gonna look at the Tanya. We're gonna see how the Alter Rebbe starts this chapter, and he says the person wants to be happy. In order to be happy, he needs to start contemplating. That's the way of reaching this happiness, contemplating on what we just spoke about, on the unity of Hashem, on the fact that Hashem is filling up all the worlds. Hashem is everything. Hashem is everywhere. And Hashem didn't change from before creation to after creation. Hashem is the same, and Hashem is powerful, and Hashem is one. And the more we think about it, the more we realize that we're in good hands. And it brings us to a point of happiness. That's what he's telling us. Okay, chapter 33. Yet, another means of leading one's soul to true joy, especially at those specific times when one finds it necessary to purify his soul and illuminate it with a gladness of heart, that he wants to be really happy. Let him then think deeply and picture in his intellect and understanding the subject of God's true unity. Let him consider how he permeates all worlds, both upper and lower. Let him further consider how even this world is filled with his glory, and how everything is of no reality whatsoever in his presence. He is one alone in the upper and lower realms, just as he was alone prior to the 6 days of creation, when nothing existed apart from God. So too now, when all the worlds have come into being, he is still one alone, since all of creation is nothing before him, as will be explained further. Even in the very place where this world, the heaven, the earth, and all their hosts was created, he alone then filled the space. The same is true now. He is one alone without any change whatsoever. Okay, we'll continue soon. Okay, so what we're learning here is that we can find God also in the physical things of the world. God is not just in holy places or in holy things, or like God is not over there. He's here in the physical world, in the things that we see. Okay, but we don't see God. God is hidden, but he's here, right here. And that's Hashem is expressing himself in all these places. And we're going to learn soon that that's the whole purpose of Hashem, is that he wants to be here in this physicality of this world. Hashem, his desire is to be in a physical place, physically, in the things that we touch and the things that we do. He wants us to do mitzvot, basically. He wants us to do mitzvot. Mitzvot is that when you take something physical, you do mitzvot with physical things. You take a match, you light a candle, you take straps of tefillin, you take food. Like it's everything happens with physical things. That's what Hashem wants us to do. And then we elevate it. We bring out godliness within all this physical world. Okay, so we learned that God is everything and everything is God. And Hashem is one and only one. Okay, it's beautiful, very nice. But when we open your eyes, do you see that? we're seeing a world, we're not really seeing God. And that brings us to a question. Like when we say that there's only one, it's very nice. But as soon as somebody else comes in the picture, he's not the only one anymore. He's not alone. It's like you say a single person, he's single. But as soon as there's another person that comes in the picture, he's not single anymore. If he gets married, he's not single anymore. Also, if you're alone in a room, you're alone until somebody walked into the room. As soon as somebody else walked into the room, you're not alone anymore. Like the word alone or single, it only applies if you're by yourself. But how are we saying that nothing changed from before creation to after creation? Hashem was all alone, and then he has all these things around him. Like, how is it possible? He's not alone anymore. Like he brought in a world, he brought in people, like he's not alone. Like he has things with him. So how do we say that Hashem is the only one, Hashem is alone, or Hashem is the only, before and after creation? So we're going to go deeper into it. The answer is that we already you might already know the answer because it's not new, completely new. We spoke about it in the previous chapters. In the chapter 20, 21, 22, we spoke about the unity of God in length. So we're just going to remind ourselves about that. We spoke about the fact that the whole world is, for Hashem, it's nothing. It's a joke. It's like it's really almost like, it's very easy. It's like almost nothing. Okay, Hashem continues. So Hashem, all he did, he said 10 words and he created the whole world. Like he said 10 utterances, like 10 sentences, and the whole world was created. But now, if he doesn't say those sentences continuously, the world that stops existing. Like he didn't just create them, but he's continuously creating it by continuing to say all these 10 words. But what are words? Words are like so insignificant compared to the capacity of the person behind those words. Like think of your feelings. When we go through something, we have a lot of feelings, like you're loaded and there's so much to say and so much to talk about, and you're saying a few words. The few words are so little compared to everything that's inside of your soul. Like it's just so little. For Hashem, that's what it is. It's even much more, to a much bigger degree. We spoke about it like in length, but so when Hashem creates the world, it's like nothing compared to his whole being, to his capacity. It's like very, very, very little. Like it's like literally like almost nothing. Like I think we calculated then that it was like 0.0000001 of his capacity, you know, the entire world. It's like for Hashem, all this, so he still feels alone. He made like something small, but it's him. He still takes over the entire world. Okay. Now, that being said, still Hashem fills up the whole world. Hashem is everything. There's mostly God in the world, and like just, you know, his 10 utterances that created this planet Earth and whatever the other planets and all the people inside. With that, Hashem created this whole world, but he made himself hidden. Okay, we see a massive world, but Hashem made himself hidden in this world. For he has his goal, he has his whole plan, but we're saying Hashem is hiding himself over here. Okay, now. Okay, but we'll get back to this hiding soon. But I just wanted to understand the concept of Hashem being everything. Like we're going deeper into it too, because the more we contemplate on this, the more we realize how big Hashem is and how he cares for every little person and how we're in his hands and we don't feel alone. That leads us to happiness. That's what we're going there. Like we're contemplating on it. That's what he's telling us to do. And he brings us two examples, like two analogies to understand how the whole world is nothing compared to the creator. Okay, so so the first thing he brings, what I just told you about the words, that the words are nothing, okay, which we spoke about already. So the words of Hashem are nothing. He also brings another example, very interesting. So the sun, there's rays of the sun. Okay, so the rays of the sun, so the light that we get is really like there's really much more inside the sun, but inside the sun it doesn't do anything until it gets out of the sun and brings the light to everywhere else, right? Like it's not serving anything, the fact that there's so much power inside the sun. The rays of the sun and the light that comes out of the sun is very important. Like that's what brings us the light, right? So the rays of sun, the rays of light that are inside the sun are not important. Okay, that's clear. So the same thing, the words of Hashem, one second, if the words of Hashem would come out, okay, if the words of Hashem would come out to a place that that Hashem is not in there, like to a place that is not necessary, then nothing would come out of it. They need to, like it's as if Hashem says things within the sun, within that bubble of the sun, then there's no point. It needs to come out. So if Hashem would say words outside of the sun, like if he would spread his words to a place that doesn't have the light, then it would bring more meaning to it, right? One second. Then it would have meaning. But Hashem, when he said all these words and when he created this whole world, he's creating it within the sun. So there's no existence to the world that Hashem created. It's not, he didn't create a world outside of his world. The rays didn't come out. Like, imagine we're inside the sun. You understand? We're inside Hashem's power. That's why we're meaningless. You understand what I'm saying? It didn't come out. It only comes out to a place that doesn't have it. But Hashem is everywhere, so he didn't create anything elsewhere. It's basically within the sun, and it's like the world is meaningless to Hashem. Like, it means like it's so small. Like, it's not, Hashem is still everything. Okay, so it didn't come outside of him. Okay, so the world that was created doesn't have so much importance of its own. Like, it's part of Hashem. It's not a separate existence, it's part of Hashem. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. So we'll see how the Alter Rebbe talks about it. He says that the whole world is nullified. It's almost nothing compared to how big Hashem is, compared to the source of Hashem, compared to how big Hashem is. The words are nothing compared to to us, to our soul. The same thing. His words are nothing compared to his capacity. And he says also the concept of these rays of light, they're also nothing, because he's everywhere. So you don't need it's not lighting up anything that doesn't exist. It's all inside it. So it's all about believing. It's all, these whole concepts are expanded much more in another part of the Tanya. Like, after the 53 chapters, there's another part. It's called Sha'ar Yichud V'Emunah. Over there, it talks more about Hashem's unity and believing in Hashem. Like, that goes into much more length. like this topic, like now we're like, as much as we're going inside, there's much more to it. Just saying. But I want to give you the sense of it so that you'll understand where we're trying to get to. Okay, so let's look at it in the words of the Tanya, what we just said. Okay, for in relation to him, I'm here in the middle. For in relation to him, the very existence of all created beings is utterly nullified, so that from his perspective, as it were, everything remains just as it was prior to creation. All created beings are nullified before God, just as the letters of speech and thought are nullified within their source and root. For example, the soul's substance and essence, meaning its 10 faculties, Chochmah, Binah, Dat, and the Midot, in which there are no letters as yet, prior to their being closed in the garments of thought, as has been explained in length in chapter 20 and 21. Why is it not going down? Elsewhere, this idea is further illustrated by an analogy from a physical phenomenon, the nullification of the sun's radiance and light within its source, the celestial orb of the sun. For surely its radiance and light glow and spread forth thereto more strongly, in fact, than they spread forth and glow in the space of the universe. Because close to its source, the light is more intense, but there, within the sun, its very existence is nullified within that of its source. It is as though the light were absolutely non-existent. All that is seen within the sun is the sun itself, not the light, which is merely a product, an offshoot of the sun. Okay. Exactly so, figuratively speaking, is the very existence of the world and everything in it nullified in relation to its source, which is the light of the Ein Sof, as it explained there at length, like in the Sha'ar Yichud V'Emunah. Okay, so what I need you to know till now is that the whole world, okay, is nothing it's like nothing compared to how big Hashem is, and how Hashem is everything, and Hashem is the only one. But he contains everything. Like I hope you understand that the whole world is God. Okay, if you can remember that, you're going to be doing very well for today's class. Okay, but there's more to it. It goes now much nicer. So we understood that Hashem is one, and that the whole world is nullified, okay, compared to how big Hashem is. The question now is, if everything is godly, everything is Hashem, the whole world is Hashem, what is my job over here? I'm a little tiny little creature, that he created, but I'm saying everything is Hashem. Okay, so what is our role over here? Okay, and if we say, and how can we say that the whole world is godly when we don't see any godliness over here? I don't see God. Like, it's hard to see it. Okay, and it seems to be, and if I do feel some godliness, it feels like something completely separate. So how are we going to make sense of all of it? And the answer is, and that's the the punchline over here that we're starting to talk about, but we're going to talk about in future chapters, but that's the line, one of the 12 verses that the Rebbe picked, is that this world is a dira betartonim. Hashem wants this dwelling place down here in this world. Okay, that's what going to answer all these questions of understanding why Hashem is one, and I'm still here, and I have something to do over here. There's a purpose over here. There's something going on. So Hashem created this world where he's completely hidden, like on purpose. Hashem is hidden. And our challenge, our role, our job, our purpose here, the reason we came down here, the reason we were created, and the reason we're here, each one of us, is because we need to reveal this oneness of Hashem. We need to reveal Hashem within this hiddenness. It's our job to reveal godliness in this hidden world. That's what Hashem wants us to do. He created an amazing world with a lot of people and whatever, complicated world. And he said, I'm hidden in there. I want you to reveal me. I want you to bring out the fact that I'm here and that but I want you to do it in this world. I don't want you to fly away from this world and come back to me in a soul. I want you to, that there's a purpose of the creation. There's a purpose of this physical world. Okay. And how do we reveal Hashem in this hidden world? How? Might have gotten the answer, but we're going to see it in the next few chapters more in depth. But it's when we live our lives, our physical lives in this world, physical in the way Hashem wants. When we do physical things with physical things in this world, physically, the way Hashem wants, we're revealing Hashem. In other words, when we do mitzvot, we're revealing Hashem. That's what Hashem wants us to do. He wants us to bring out the godliness by doing the things that he says. He says, say a bracha on a cookie. That's how you're going to bring Hashem in this cookie, in this room, or in you. We're bringing Hashem here. We're revealing Hashem. Like we're taking out that curtain every time we do a mitzvah, because we're saying, oh, Hashem is here. Oh, I'm connecting to Hashem. Oh, there's Hashem. There's Hashem in this thing. There's Hashem in this room. There's Hashem in this physical world. There's Hashem in this physical object. Every time we're doing this, by doing mitzvot, we're revealing Hashem in this world. And we're bringing the holiness of Hashem in this world. That's the whole purpose of a mitzvot. That's the whole purpose of the world, the whole purpose of the mitzvot. To literally take all these physical things of the world, our body, our physical objects, all these things, to do mitzvot with it. Okay? So having a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world, that's the whole that's the way we're expressing Hashem's oneness. When we talk about Hashem's unity, Hashem being one, it means nothing until we revealed Hashem being one in this physical world. And how do we reveal Hashem's oneness? By creating a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world. Okay, so now that you understood this, hopefully clearly, that we're bringing Hashem's oneness, we're revealing Hashem's oneness in this world. That's what brings us to happiness. That's what brings a Jew to happiness. Because when I realize that Hashem is with me everywhere, I have the opportunity, I have the zchut, like the whatever. It's my job, but it's also an opportunity and something good, like a merit. Yeah, it's a merit to reveal Hashem in every part of my life, in every part of my physical life. Every part of my physical life, I have an opportunity and a merit to bring down Hashem right here next to me. So that brings a Jew to ultimate joy. That brings a Jew to ultimate joy. And I'll go now into more details of why it brings a person to so much joy and how it does it. So firstly, it helps us from not feeling lonely. Okay, a person, okay, that has this belief inside of him that knows I have Hashem with me, and I'm able to connect to Hashem, and I'm able to reveal Hashem in my life just by doing a mitzvah. I'm revealing this hidden Hashem right here in my personal life. Then we don't feel alone anymore, because we get more self-confidence. We don't, like, suddenly there's someone with me. There's someone taking care of me. King David, I think, said it. Gam ki elech begeitz hamavet lo yirara. Like, no matter what, I'm not scared. Why? Ki ata imadi, because you are with me. Like when we know someone's with me, it takes away a lot of the pain, you know. Like, and I'm telling you, that's what we're learning today. Like, the more we contemplate on Hashem's oneness and Hashem being everything, and us bringing Him down here, how? By doing a mitzvah, by whatever, by bringing Him next to me. So it helps us deal with loneliness. It helps us also have more positive outlook in our life, to be more optimistic. When I know that Hashem is expressed in every part of my life, it tells me, 1 second, there's something good over here in this world. There's things that have meaning in this world. There's something good that I can do with these things. Like there's purpose. There's positive things that I can do. Even as chaotic the world is, we can do a mitzvah. We can bring goodness to the world. Look at what's going on in the chaotic world of today. The amount of mitzvot and the amount of goodness that's coming out of it, it's like amazing. Like that's who we are. That's what we stand for, right? For all this goodness, for all this positivity, no matter how hard it is. So that's another thing that we can get optimism. Also, we bring meaning to our lives. Okay, when we have purpose and meaning in our lives, it brings joy. Like when we have no meaning and no purpose, and then we go into a depression. But if I know I have a purpose here, I have a meaning, there's something important, there's something meaningful to my life, it helps us. It brings us happiness to our life, and it brings us also in every part of our life. It's with work, with the family. We see that everywhere I am, and with whoever I am, there's purpose over here. There's a reason for it. There's a higher purpose over here. Like it's all part of Hashem, of my connection with Hashem. It's all part of my purpose in this world. The fact that I'm working with this person, the fact that I'm meeting with this person, the fact that this person's in my family, all these stories that could be good or bad, like whatever, all these like pieces of the puzzles, we realize that there's meaning to it, and that helps us to be more positive and to bring meaning. Also, when we understand the merit that we have, okay, it's not just that I have a merit of like helping someone, but I have the merit to literally reveal godliness in this world. Like I'm part of this, of like creating this world, of like part of doing the big purpose of Hashem, like and my mitzvah matters, my good deed matters, my help matters, my part matters, and I have a way of bringing Hashem physically, like in my life. The Alter Rebbe brings then an example of like, imagine you're poor, you're sad, whatever, and you get to host the king. You get to open the door, and the king is by your door, and then he tells you, I want to come inside your house. Like it's like the biggest joy to have like the king that wants to come in your house, that wants to be close with you, like me, the simple me. And the king comes to me. You'll see the Alter Rebbe brings this as an example. Like it's not just like, you're being reunited with, like first it was talking about, we also mentioned the concept of a king. I think he mentioned it also here. It was a concept of a king, the prince that's in captivity. He can't do anything that he wants. He wants to be back home in the palace with his father, the king. He's in captivity. And when he's reunited with his father, it's such a joy when he can see his father, connect with his father. He's out of his captivity. That's a huge joy. But imagine you're not in captivity or whatever it is, and then the king comes to you. The king reaches you. The king wants to come very close to you. And he says, like Hashem wants to be very, very close to us. Like that's how Hashem really wants to be close to us. So we have the opportunity to invite him and to let him in and to have a relationship with him. So after all this, of course, a chassid, a Jew, wants to be happy. He's going to dance. He's going to be happy. He's going to have one foot down and one foot up, which we're going to talk about soon more. But that's the idea. Like understanding who Hashem is and understanding this whole concept should bring us to the ultimate happiness. So we're going to see it in the words of the Tanya. I'm going to open it. It's unbelievable, the amount of words that the Alter Rebbe brings to show you how much joy this is. It's like, you'll see, it's pretty powerful. Look, now, when one contemplates deeply and at length on this matter of God's true unity, his heart will rejoice with this faith. His soul will be gladdened by it to the point of rejoicing and singing with all his heart, soul, and might. There's more words in the Hebrew. I think it's better. It's always better in the Hebrew, in the original. Look, just reading it for the ones of you that know Hebrew. Like once he thinks about it. Yismach libo, v'tagel nafsho, af gilat v'ranen b'chol lev. Like there's a lot of words of seeing that the intense joy that the person will feel when he has this emunah, this faith. So like when you have this faith and you think about it so much, it brings you to like heart will rejoice with faith, the soul will be gladdened, rejoicing, singing with all his heart. Like that's where you can reach. Okay, so as much as we're not all at that level, just saying, but it's not a black and white. We have moments and we have days, and we can always reach it. So look, now he's going to say that okay, I'll explain it as we go. It's beautiful. So for this space is tremendous. When it fills one's mind, it actually constitutes of an experience of the closest of God. Now, I'm here, V'zeh kol ha'adam. Okay, so this is the sentence, V'zeh kol ha'adam, this little paragraph that I'm pointing. This is the one that the kids say and we remember every day. It actually continues till Liot lo dira zog tachtonim. V'zeh kol ha'adam, if you think of it in Hebrew, it means this is the whole purpose, the whole person. This is everything. That's taken actually from Kohelet. Okay, it said Sof davar kol nishma et Elokim yira v'et mitzotav shemo ki ze kol adam, and he's taking those words and bringing them here. But what it says there in the Kohelet, it says in the end everything will be heard. He's going to fear Hashem. He's going to do his mitzvot, and that's the whole purpose of them. That's the whole man. Like that's everything. Like over there it says that's everything, and this is everything. V'zeh kol adam v'tachlit briyato. So in this fact, this is the whole purpose of man, and the purpose for which he and all the worlds, both upper and lower, were created. And what is the purpose? That God should have such a dwelling place here below, as will be explained further at length. So we'll talk about it in the next few chapters, that concept. But it's a foundational concept that gives us the whole purpose of why we were created. You know, you read, like, it talks a lot about it in the book of man. It's written. Like that gives you the purpose, yeah. But it's from here. It's Tanya. Just saying. There's the book, the world. What's it called? Not the world that matters.
Life that matters, something like that.
Yeah, life matters. Something like that. Okay. Anyway, so let's continue. So this is the whole. This is like foundational and the whole purpose. And now look what you're gonna achieve. How great is the joy of a common and lowly person. Okay, he's talking about Hediot, Ushval and Hashem, like a very low person, when he's brought close to a king of flesh and blood, who furthermore lodges and greater still dwells together with him, not in the king's palace, but in his home. How much more, infinitely more, one to rejoice in the nearness of the kings of kings, the Holy One, blessed be he, in his dwelling together with man, with his physical world, man's home. So it is written, for who is the man who dares to approach me, says God. So you see here the how much Hashem wants this closeness with us. We'll talk next week more about the joy that Hashem gets from all this also, because when he's happy, we're happy, whatever. We'll talk about that relationship next week. But I hope you see here how understanding who Hashem is brings us to this joy, and how much the Alter Rebbe tells us, like, this is joy. I want to share with you a cute story. Didn't think I would share it, but I heard it from as I was preparing for the class. So Simchat Torah is a very happy holiday, you all know. Now, the way it works in New York by the Rebbe is that the second night of Simchat Torah, all the young boys, they don't come to 770 for the Hakafot. They walk very far to different places in New York, to Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, whatever, the whole New York. They walk 2 hours each way, 3 hours each way, and they do Hakafot in those synagogues. Like, they spread out walking and go do Hakafot in all the synagogues, and they bring happiness to the other synagogues, and then they walk back, and then they come to 770. So they arrive at 770, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Yeah, till today, my sons did it. Like, they walked. Yeah. So anyways, so now in the days that the Rebbe was physically there in 770, everybody would like come back as soon as possible to 770 to dance and be hakafot by the Rebbe. Like, you go because you're supposed to go to all these faraway synagogues, but you come back as soon as possible to go to the Rebbe. And anyways, the first year after the Rebbe wasn't physically there, there was some boys that were walking back, and they were like, what are we walking back for? Like, it's not exciting, like, it's a little bit depressing, and it's fine, we did what we had to. But anyway, and they were meeting this person on the way, and that person tells them, you're wondering why you're going to 770, go read chapter 33 in Tanya. That's the whole, like, that's the joy, like, whatever, like, so there's something very fundamental over here in this chapter. That's the joy of connecting to Hashem. Like, go dance. You have the opportunity to, like, you're connecting to Hashem. Go dance. Like, what are you asking? Like, why are you looking for something so depressing? Like, so basically, when you learn this and understand this chapter so well, it brings you to a place of wanting to dance and wanting to rejoice, etc. There's another thing I want to share. There was a lady that lost her. Her lady's name is Valdina Shalonsky. Her brother passed away, Avram Shalonsky. Anyway, and she wrote a letter to the Rebbe how she felt lonely and she felt very, like, whatever. And she wanted to ask the Rebbe for his advice. And the Rebbe answered to her that a Jew is not alone. Okay, and he brought a pasuk, Hashem roi lo echsa, that Hashem is always our shepherd. Hashem is always with us, and he's never going to be missing. Like, we're never going to be alone. There's also there's another story to explain to you that understanding what it can bring the person to, on an extreme way, but I think you'll get the idea very nicely. David HaMelech, King David, he was always walking with talit and tefillin on him. Why? Because he wanted to always have a mitzvah with him on him. He wanted to be constantly connected. But he was so upset. He's like, if I need to go to the bathroom, I can't go with my talit and tefillin, and over there and I also have to undress myself, and I have no mitzvot on me, and I don't want to be naked of mitzvot. Literally, like, he was very sad. And then he realized, and he walked out, and he was very happy. He realized that he has one mitzvah on him, the Brit Milah. That even when he has no clothes, he has the mitzvah of Brit Milah on him. And you'll see it. It's in the Tehillim. He sang the chapter 12 of Tehillim after that incident. After he realized that, he said, "L'natzeach ala shminit mizmor leDavid." Shminit is from the 8th day. Okay, thank God, I'm rejoicing for the mitzvah of the Brit Milah that I have on me. So we see that we see from King David, that when he understood that he's connected to Hashem everywhere he is, even when he's in the bathroom, that brought him to such joy. That brought him the biggest joy, like, to the point that he said this whole joyful song, chapter 12 of Tehillim. So there's a joy of doing mitzvot that brings the ultimate joy, because our neshama wants it, and neshama wants that connection, and it's constantly wanting it. Like, people that are not, like, everybody's constantly looking for happiness, but sometimes you look in the wrong place and you never reach it. Like, it's never enough. You go on vacation, you get more money, and you go on more vacation, and it's just like somehow you're still feeling lonely and still feeling depressed. It's just not reaching it. But connecting to Hashem, the Alter Rebbe tells us clearly here, it brings us to the biggest happiness. Okay, so for a lesson, what I want us to walk out with is, let's look at the dance. When we dance, we have one foot down on the floor and one foot up. And what do they represent? So on one hand, our foot that's on the floor, it's connected to the ground, it's connected to this physical world. It's not a contradiction to godliness. Okay, it's the fact that we're connected to this physical world, and we are humans. We are taking care of our bodies, we are taking care of our physical health, we are going to look at what our talents are, we are going to look at what our hobbies are, we are going to use technology in this world, we are going to be physically connected to this world. Like, it's perfectly fine. We're going to be doing mitzvot connected to this world. Okay, and we should be happy to have a relationship with this physical world. That's what Hashem wants us to. On the other hand, if you would have both feet connected to the ground, it's very dangerous, because then you're not connected to Hashem. Like, we're too much like in this physicality of this world, and too much in all the physical desires and everything. So we need to have one, like, a person that serves God needs to have one foot up, one foot like in the air, one foot trying to connect to Hashem, one foot trying to connect to the Torah, to connect to Hasidut, to connect to God, to, like, see, like, yes, I am this world, but yes, I'm also connecting. We need to really have both at the same time, just like when we're dancing. You understand? That's what we're trying to say. Like, the having 1 foot down and 1 foot up is what's creating the dance of the Jew and what's creating the ultimate purpose of what we started learning today, the dira b'tachtonim, to have a dwelling place for Hashem in this physical world. We need to be in this physical world. Hashem wants us to be in this physical world and use this physical world and our physical body and all these physical things, but to create a dwelling place for Hashem and to invite Hashem and to reveal Hashem's oneness in this world. That's our job over here. Okay, hope that was nice and clear. And we